Long ago, before any alien in the galaxy could remember, Earth was a real place. It had blue oceans, green trees, and many different people, but all of that was gone now. No one had seen a human in 40,000 years. Most people thought humans were just a legend. Lyra was an alien who liked to study history. She lived on a large, beautiful space station in a corner of the galaxy. She had blue skin, 4 gentle eyes, and always carried a notebook with her. Lyra was not famous. She was quiet, but she was curious. She wanted to learn about the past and hoped to find something important one day. One day, Lyra was alone in the big library on the station. The library was silent except for the soft hum of computers. Lyra sat in front of a large screen and looked at signals from the old parts of space. She liked to search for messages that had been forgotten by time. Most days she only found noise. But on this day she saw something different. On her screen was a tiny, weak signal. It was almost lost in the background, but it was there. She felt her heart beat faster. She called her friend Ven. Ven was a scientist with golden skin and bright green eyes. He was cheerful and always ready to help. Ven came quickly to Lyra's side and looked at the signal. "What is it?" Ven asked, leaning closer. "I don't know," Lyra answered, trying to keep her voice calm. "It's very old." "It could be from the beginning of space travel." Ven looked excited. "Can we listen to it?" Lyra nodded and pressed a button. At first there was only static. Then slowly a strange sound came through. It was not a language they knew, but it was ordered. It was not just random noise. "This is a message," Ven said, eyes wide. They worked together to record the signal and started to study it. The signal was weak and broken, but there was a pattern inside. Lyra's hands shook a little as she wrote notes in her notebook. Who could have sent this? Ven wondered. Lyra looked at him. "I think it might be from humans." Ven was surprised. He had heard about humans in stories, but he had never believed they were real. "Humans? From Earth?" "But Earth is gone," Lyra nodded. "Yes, Earth is gone, but maybe the message survived." They decided to tell the council on the space station. The council was made of different aliens who led the station and made important choices. Lyra and Ven showed them the signal and explained their ideas. Some council members were interested, others laughed. "It's just a dream," said one old leader. "Humans are gone and Earth is dust," but Lyra did not give up. She asked for help to decode the message. She wanted to know what humans had to say, even if they were gone. The council finally agreed. They gave Lyra and Ven a small team and time to work on the message. Lyra felt a mix of hope and fear. She knew it would be hard, but she wanted to try. Lyra's team came from many different worlds. There was Mia, a quiet alien with silver skin who could hear sounds others missed. There was Ethan, who had orange eyes and loved to solve puzzles. There was Nora, who could understand many old languages. Each person brought something special. For weeks, they worked in a small room with computers and screens. Lyra listened to the message again and again. It was broken into pieces and mixed with noise, but there was music inside and voices. And what sounded like someone crying. Mia was the first to find a piece of music hidden in the signal. It was slow and sad with a simple melody. When the team listened, they grew quiet. It felt like a memory from long ago. Lyra closed her eyes and tried to imagine what kind of people sent this music. Ethan worked on the patterns. He saw numbers that repeated in the signal. After many days, he said, "This is not just music, there is a code here." Nora listened to the voices. Some words were clear, others were not. She wrote down the sounds she heard. "It sounds like someone saying goodbye," she said softly, then watched his friends and smiled. He felt proud to be part of something important. Sometimes he brought food and told jokes to keep everyone happy. Lyra felt the weight of her job. She knew the message was old, maybe the last voice from Earth. She wanted to understand it fully. At night, she dreamed about oceans and forests, places she had never seen. One evening, while Lyra was alone in the lab, she heard a new part of the message. It was a woman's voice, soft but clear, speaking words that sounded full of hope. Lyra listened again and again. She felt tears in her eyes. She wondered who the woman was and what story she wanted to tell. Soon the story of the human message spread around the station. Some aliens laughed and said it was just a ghost. Others wanted to know more. A few leaders thought it was a waste of time, but Lyra and her team worked on. They wanted to find the heart of the message. Lyra believed that if she listened long enough, she would hear what the humans wanted to say. One day, Ven came running into the lab holding a piece of paper. "Lyra, look! I found a part of the signal with a picture inside. I think it is of a blue planet. I think it is Earth." Lyra took the paper and stared at it. She saw the shape of a world with oceans and clouds. For a moment she felt close to the past, as if she could reach out and touch the lost home of humans. She smiled, and for the first time in her life, Lyra felt that she was not alone. The message was not just words or music. It was hope reaching across the stars, waiting to be heard. And so, in a quiet lab on a distant station, Lyra and her friends listened to the last message from Earth, hoping to find its meaning and share it with the galaxy. After Lyra and her team found the picture of Earth in the message, everyone on the station started talking about it. Some aliens thought it was exciting and wanted to learn more. Others thought it was only a story for children. But Lyra and her friends knew the message was real. They wanted to unlock all of its secrets. The team worked together every day. They sat around the big table in the lab, surrounded by screens, notes, and empty cups. Mia listened to the sound waves again and again. She put on her headphones and closed her eyes, searching for patterns that others missed. One day she heard something new. There was a soft humming under the music, like someone singing a lullaby. She recorded it and played it for the others. "It sounds gentle," Mia said. "Maybe it's a song for a child," Ethan agreed. He used his computer to look at the shape of the waves. "There is a code hidden under this melody," he said. "It looks like numbers. Maybe it is a message in math?" Nora, who was good with languages, listened to the words that appeared in the signal. Some were broken and hard to understand. But she caught one word that was clear. "Hope," Nora said. "The woman in the message says hope again and again." Lyra wrote everything in her notebook. She liked to look at her notes before sleeping, hoping to see something new each time. The team became close, almost like a family. They shared meals, laughed at jokes, and sometimes argued, but always worked together again. One afternoon, Ven called everyone to his computer. "I found a new part of the signal," he said, his eyes shining. He pressed a button, and the speakers played a strange sound. It was not music or a voice, but a repeating beep. Ethan stared at the screen. "That is old space code," he said. "I learned about it in history class." He began to translate the code with Nora's help. The beeps and pauses made words. "We remember. We hope. We are still here." Everyone in the room grew quiet. For the first time, it felt like humans were speaking directly to them from the past. Lyra smiled. They wanted someone to hear them. Even after Earth was gone, they wanted to be remembered. The news spread through the space station. Aliens from different worlds came to see Lara's team at work. Some brought gifts, old books, pieces of metal, or small models of planets. Others brought questions. What were humans like? They asked, why did they send this message? Lyra did not have all the answers, but she shared the music and the words with everyone who came. She said, humans were not perfect, but they dreamed of the stars. They wanted to be known. They wanted to share their feelings. One day, a group of children from the station visited the lab. They sat on the floor, wide-eyed, as Mia played the lullaby from the message. The soft music filled the room, making everyone quiet. Lyra knelt beside the children and showed them the picture of Earth. This was their home, she said. It was full of water, trees, and life. A small boy with bright yellow skin asked, why did Earth disappear? Lyra answered gently, a long time ago, there was a disaster. The planet was lost. But before it happened, humans sent this message, hoping that someone, somewhere, would hear them. The boy nodded. I hope they are happy now, wherever they are. Lyra hugged him, feeling a lump in her throat. She knew the message was more than just words and sounds. It was a gift from the past, meant for the future. The team continued to work on the message. Ethan found a set of symbols in the code. At first, they looked like random lines and dots. But when he put them together, they formed shapes, stars, circles, and triangles. He realized it was a map. "This is a map of the galaxy," Ethan said. They marked a point with a circle. Maybe they wanted to show where Earth was, or maybe where the message started, then became excited. "If we can follow the map, maybe we can find more messages or objects left behind by humans." Nora checked the map against the current star charts. "The spot is far from here, but not impossible to reach," she said. Lara's eyes sparkled with hope. "Maybe we should go. Maybe there is more to discover." The council heard about the map and called Lyra to a meeting. The room was full of leaders from many worlds. Some looked curious, others worried. A tall leader with purple skin spoke first. "We have watched your work. The message is interesting, but Earth is gone. Why do you want to spend more time on this?" Lyra stood straight and spoke with courage. "This message is more than history. It is a connection to the past. Humans wanted to be remembered, and they left their dreams for us. If we follow the map, we can honor their memory and learn from them." Some leaders nodded. Others looked unsure, then stepped forward. "We have learned so much from the message already. Imagine what else is waiting out there." After a long discussion, the council agreed to send a small ship with Lyra's team to follow the map. They were given enough food and supplies for a short trip. The team felt both nervous and excited. Before they left, many people from the station came to say goodbye. The children brought drawings of Earth and songs they had made. The adults wished the team luck and asked them to bring back stories. On the day of departure, Lyra stood at the window of the ship. She looked at the stars and thought about the humans who sent the message so long ago. She wondered if they ever dreamed that someone would hear them so far away in the future. The ship's engine started with a low hum. The team took their seats, ready for the journey. As the ship moved into space, Lyra looked at her friends and smiled. "We are not just looking for humans," she said quietly. "We are looking for hope." Ven squeezed her hand. Mia and Nora nodded. Ethan grinned. The ship left the station, following the old map through the stars, searching for the next piece of the story, and carrying the last dream of Earth into the future. The journey through space felt long, but Lyra and her team were full of hope. Their small ship glided between the stars, following the map left by humans thousands of years ago. Sometimes the team sat together by the wide window, watching bright colors pass outside. Sometimes they each worked alone, thinking about what they might find at the end of the journey. Mia liked to record new sounds from space. She often closed her eyes, listening to the gentle hum of the ship and the soft beeps from the controls. She felt that the ship was alive, sharing in their excitement. Ethan spent many hours looking at the old human code, still searching for clues. He wrote on his tablet, making lines and numbers, hoping to solve every small puzzle the message had hidden inside. Nora practiced the human words she had found in the message. She spoke them aloud, even though she was not sure what they all meant. Sometimes she smiled, thinking about the voice of the woman who spoke of hope. Ven loved looking at the stars outside the ship. He remembered all the stories about humans and Earth that he had heard as a child. He wondered what those people had really been like. One day, as the ship came near the place marked on the map, the team grew quiet. Lyra felt nervous. Would there be anything waiting for them? Was this journey only for an old memory, or would they really find something new? Suddenly, Mia called out, "I hear something. There is a new signal, and it's coming from right ahead." Everyone hurried to her station. Mia played the sound, and a soft, clear tone filled the ship. It was simple, like a bell in the night. The signal repeated, always the same 3 notes. Ethan checked the controls. "It's coming from a small object, just outside." Then carefully guided the ship closer. Soon, they saw it through the window, a metal capsule floating in the darkness. It was shaped like a tear, smooth and silver, and very old. Lyra felt her heart beat fast. "Is this from humans?" she asked. Ethan nodded. I think so. The capsule is sending the same code we found in the first message. The team worked together to bring the capsule into the ship. It was heavy and cold, but they handled it with care. They placed it on a table in the center of the main room. Nora ran her fingers over the surface. There were lines and marks, maybe. A kind of writing. She traced the shapes, trying to understand. It's a story, she whispered. These lines are pictures. I see a planet, then a ship, and then a star. Ven found a small button on the side of the capsule. Should we open it? He asked. Lyra nodded. Let's see what's inside. Ven pressed the button, and with a gentle click, the capsule opened. Inside, there were objects wrapped in soft cloth. The team gathered around, careful and full of wonder. Mia picked up the first object, a small glass ball. Inside the ball was a tiny tree, frozen in time. The leaves were green and the trunk was brown. It looked alive, even after so many years. Lyra took out a thin book with a blue cover. She opened it and saw pages filled with pictures. There were drawings of animals, forests, and people smiling. The people all looked different, but each one had kind eyes and gentle faces. Ethan found a silver disc. He placed it in the ships. Player and music filled the room. The song was simple and bright, full of hope. Everyone closed their eyes and listened, feeling the happiness and sadness in each note. Nora pulled out a letter, written on paper that had turned yellow with age. She read it out loud, her voice shaking a little. If you are reading this, then our message has reached someone. We are the last people from Earth. Our home is gone, but our dreams are not. We hope you will remember us and that you will care for each other and your own world. Let our story remind you to be kind and brave. The team was quiet. Each of them felt a deep connection to the humans who wrote the letter. Even though so much time had passed, their feelings were the same. Ven said softly, they wanted to be remembered. They wanted to teach us something important, Lyra nodded. They were afraid, but they were also hopeful. Even when they knew Earth was lost, they sent this message for the future. Mia looked at the glass ball. Maybe we should plant the tree so their memory grows again, Ethan smiled. We can bring their music and stories back to our worlds. For the next few days, the team studied everything in the capsule. They made notes, took pictures, and recorded every song and story. They learned about human life, their joys, their mistakes, and their dreams for peace. Lyra thought about what to do next. She knew the people on the station were waiting for news. They would want to see what the team had found. Before leaving, the team decided to leave their own message in space, next to the place where they found the capsule. They wrote a letter telling about their journey, their hope, and the lessons they learned from humans. Mia recorded a song, and Nora read some of the human words. They placed their message in a small box and let it float into the darkness, hoping someone would find it one day. When the ship turned back toward home, Lyra looked out at the stars. She felt grateful for the journey and the chance to know the last people of Earth. She knew their story would live on, carried by her and her friends and maybe by many others in the galaxy. The ship glided quietly through the night, bringing memories, music, and hope back to a new world, and leaving a small piece of themselves behind so the message of Earth would never be lost again. The journey home felt different for Lyra and her team. They no longer felt empty or lost. They had a purpose now. They had the capsule, the book, the music, and the message from humans. Everyone on the ship talked about what it all meant. Some nights they stayed awake for hours, sharing their own dreams and fears. Just like the humans who sent the message so long ago, Lyra often sat by the window and looked at the tiny tree inside the glass ball. She wondered what kind of forest it once grew in. She thought about the human who put it there. Was it a mother who loved to walk in the woods? Was it a child who wanted to save something beautiful? Lyra wished she could ask them, but she knew she never would. All she could do was remember and care. Ven was busy preparing a report for the council. He wanted to tell everyone on the station what they had found. He wanted them to understand that the message was important. Ven wrote about the music and the letter. He wrote about the fear and hope that humans felt in their last days. He hoped the council would listen. Mia tried to learn the melody of the human lullaby. She played it again and again on her small keyboard. The song was soft and simple, but it made her feel close to the past. Sometimes she changed the notes a little, adding her own touch. She wondered if music was the same for humans as it was for her people. Ethan studied the symbols in the book. There were pictures of people hugging and laughing, but there were also pictures of storms and empty homes. Ethan saw that humans had both joy and sadness. He thought about his own life and how he sometimes felt both at the same time. Nora translated more of the letter. There was one line she read many times. "No matter what happens, remember to be kind." Nora wrote the words on a small piece of paper and put it in her pocket. She wanted to keep it close, so she would not forget. When the ship returned to the station, many people came to meet them. The docking bay was full of excitement. News had already spread that Lyra and her team had found something wonderful. Children ran ahead, trying to see the capsule. Parents held them back, afraid they might break something important. Lyra stepped out of the ship with the capsule in her arms. The crowd grew quiet. Lyra's heart pounded, but she smiled and walked slowly through the crowd. She saw hope in many eyes. She saw curiosity and even a little fear. The team set up a display in the great hall. They put the capsule on a table with the glass ball, the book, the silver disc, and the letter. People lined up to look at the objects. They listened to the music. Some cried when they heard the lullaby. Some held hands as they looked at the pictures of Earth. Then spoke to the council in the main chamber. The leaders listened as he told the story of their journey. He showed them the letter from the last humans. He played the music and showed the pictures from the book. A council member asked, "Why did humans send this message? Did they want us to save them?" Ven shook his head. They knew it was too late for that. They only wanted to be remembered. They wanted us to learn from them, to remember to be kind and brave, even when things are hard. The council talked for a long time. Some wanted to put the objects in a museum. Others thought they should share the story with the whole galaxy. One leader said, "We must do more than remember. We must change. We must try to be kinder to each other so we do not lose our own worlds." After much talk, the council decided to build a small garden at the center of the station. In the garden, they would plant the seed from the glass ball. The garden would be a place of peace, where people could come to remember Earth and the last message of humans. Lyra was chosen to plant the seed. She walked to the garden, followed by the council and many station residents. The garden was quiet and green. Lyra knelt on the soft earth. She opened the glass ball and took out the tiny seed. She pressed it into the ground and covered it gently. With soil, everyone watched as Lyra stood and spoke. "We plant this seed not only for humans, but for all of us. Let it grow as a sign of hope and kindness." Mia played the human lullaby on her keyboard. The soft music floated through the garden, touching everyone's heart. Days passed and the seed began to sprout. Small green leaves appeared. People visited the garden every day. Some brought flowers, some sang songs, some sat quietly and thought about their own families and their own worlds. Children came to see the plant. They asked Lyra questions about Earth and about humans. Lyra answered as best as she could. She told them stories about the blue planet, about oceans and forests, about hope and dreams. One evening, as the sun set over the station, Lyra sat alone in the garden. She looked at the small plant and felt peace. She knew the story of Earth was safe now. It would not be forgotten, but Lyra also felt something new. She wanted to learn more. She wanted to find other lost messages, other forgotten dreams. She wondered if there were more stories waiting in the stars, sent by people who only wanted to be remembered. Ven found her in the garden. He sat beside her and smiled. "Do you think we will ever find another message like this one?" Lyra thought for a moment. Maybe, but even if we don't, we have this one. And we can share it with everyone, so the dream of Earth lives on. Ven nodded. We should keep searching. There is always something more to learn. The stars shone above the garden. Lyra and Ven watched them together, feeling small but hopeful. They knew that somewhere out there in the darkness, other stories waited to be found. And as long as someone listened, hope would never die. The garden on the station became a special place. Every day, people came to see the small green plant growing where Lyra had planted the seed. Some people came to remember the story of Earth and the last humans. Others just wanted to find peace and hope. The garden was quiet, and the soft sound of Mia's lullaby sometimes played from small speakers hidden among the leaves. Lyra spent much of her time there. She watched the plant grow taller and stronger, and she talked to children about Earth. She told them about blue oceans, high mountains, and forests full of animals. The children listened with wide eyes and asked many questions. Some drew pictures of Earth with bright colors. Others made up stories about what it would be like to walk on real grass. Mia brought her keyboard to the garden and played the human music for visitors. She had learned to play all the songs from the silver disc found in the capsule. People from many worlds listened. Some closed their eyes and dreamed, some hummed along. Mia was happy to share the music, and she wrote her own song to add to the old ones. She called it New Home, and it was about finding hope after loss. Ethan worked on a project to share what they had learned from the capsule with the whole galaxy. He made copies of the pictures and words from the human book. He sent them to other stations and planets. He hoped that people everywhere would remember Earth and learn the lessons of kindness and bravery. Sometimes other historians sent him messages, thanking him for sharing the story. They asked for more details about humans. Ethan answered every letter, happy that so many others cared. Nora helped Ethan translate the letter and the book into many languages. She wanted everyone, no matter where they lived, to understand the message. She worked late into the night, checking every word and every symbol. When she finished, she felt proud. The message was simple but powerful. Remember to be kind, even when it is hard. Ven became busy talking with leaders from other stations. He told them about the human message and the garden. Some leaders wanted to build their own gardens, planting trees and flowers as a promise to remember lost worlds. Ven shared advice and even sent seeds from their garden to those who asked. He dreamed that one day, every station and every planet would have a place of peace and memory. One day, a group of students came to see Lyra. They had studied the story of Earth in school, and they wanted to know how she felt when she first heard the message. Lyra told them about the day in the library, the excitement, the fear, and the hope she felt. She said, "At first I was scared. The message was old and sad. But then I saw how much hope the humans had, even in their last days. It made me believe that hope is always possible." A small girl asked, "Do you think the humans would be happy that we remember them?" Lyra smiled. "Yes, I think they would." Their last wish was to be remembered and to share kindness. That is what we are doing now. More and more people started telling their own stories in the garden. Some talked about their home planets, the things they had lost, and the dreams they still had. The garden became a place of sharing, not just for the story of Earth, but for many stories. Lyra listened to them all. She learned that every world had its own sadness, and hope. Mia noticed that her music was changing too. She added sounds from other worlds, bells, whistles, and soft drums. She mixed the human lullaby with new melodies, creating music that felt both old and new. When she played, everyone in the garden felt connected, even if they came from faraway places. Ethan started a new project. He asked people to write down their own messages of hope and place them in a small box in the garden. Soon the box was full of letters, each one telling a different story of bravery or kindness. Ethan read some aloud in the evenings. People cried and laughed and hugged one another. Ven was proud of what the team had done. He knew they could not bring Earth back, but they had done something important. They had kept the memory alive and helped others find hope. One evening, Lyra was alone in the garden. The plant from Earth was now as tall as her knee, its leaves bright and strong. She touched one leaf gently and felt a strange warmth, as if she could feel the love and hope of the humans who sent the seed. The stars were shining outside the window, and Lyra thought about how far their message had traveled. She wondered if there were other messages lost in space, waiting to be found. She thought about all the people in the galaxy, each with their own fears and dreams. She knew now that even if something was lost, its story could still bring hope. Suddenly, a boy ran into the garden, holding a small light. He had tears in his eyes, but a big smile on his face. "Lyra," he called, "come quick. My mother wants to show you something." Lyra followed the boy to the main hall, where people were gathering. On the big screen was a new message. It was from a distant planet, and it showed people planting a tree in their own garden. They were singing the human lullaby, but in a new language. Their faces were full of happiness. Lyra watched and felt her heart fill with joy. The story of Earth was spreading. The hope of the last humans was touching more and more lives. That night, Lyra wrote in her notebook. She wrote about the garden, the music, the stories, and the hope that never died. She promised herself that she would always listen for new messages and share them with others. As she finished, she looked out at the stars and whispered, "Thank you, humans. Your message will live forever." And in the quiet garden, under the soft light of distant suns, the small plant from Earth grew taller, reaching up to the sky, a living memory of hope and kindness for all. Months passed, and the little garden at the heart of the space station grew more beautiful. The plant from Earth stood taller, its leaves shining bright green under the station's lights. Flowers began to bloom at its base, small and white with a gentle scent. People from every part of the station visited to see the Earth plant. Some just wanted to look. Others brought water, soil, or tiny gifts. Every day, someone new left a message of hope or a story in the box beside the plant. Lyra still spent time in the garden, reading the letters and talking to visitors. She listened to their stories and helped them when they were sad or lonely. Many thanked her and her friends for bringing the message of Earth to the station. They said the story made them think about their own families and worlds. One day, a group of scientists arrived from a distant colony. They wanted to study the plant from Earth and learn how it could survive for so long in space. Lyra met with them and told them the whole story, from the discovery of the message to the planting of the seed. The scientists asked many questions. They took samples of the soil and air and watched the plant's leaves carefully. They said the plant was strong because of hope, and because many people cared for it together. Mia and Nora worked together to collect new songs and stories from all the visitors. They recorded everything: old stories from home planets, lullabies from childhood, and even poems made up in the garden. Mia mixed the sounds into new music, and Nora put the words into a book. Soon, there were enough stories to fill a library. The team decided to share the music and the book with other space stations and ships. Traveling far from home, Ven became the leader of a new project. He helped other stations start their own gardens of hope. He shared seeds from the Earth plant along with stories and music. Many people wanted to join the project. Ven saw that kindness was spreading just as the humans from Earth had hoped. Ethan studied the letters left in the garden. He saw that people from every world wrote about the same things: fear, sadness, joy, and hope. Even if their words were different, their feelings were the same. Ethan wrote an article called "What We Share." He sent it across the galaxy, telling everyone that kindness and hope were not just for one world, but for all. One evening, as Lyra was watering the plant, she noticed something new. A tiny seed pod hung from one of the branches. She called her friends to see. They gathered around, amazed. It was the first time the Earth plant had made seeds since it was planted. Lyra felt tears in her eyes. "It's like a gift," she said softly. "The plant trusts us. It wants to grow again." Mia smiled. "We can share these seeds with everyone who needs hope." That night, they celebrated in the garden. Mia played music and Nora read poems aloud. People danced and sang. Some people cried, but most laughed, feeling close to each other even if they were from different stars. The next day, the council held a ceremony in the garden. They thanked Lyra and her friends for their hard work and courage. They also thanked everyone who visited the garden, watered the plant, and shared their stories. The council gave each team member a special medal shaped like a small leaf, a symbol of hope. Lyra spoke at the ceremony. She said, "We did not save Earth, but we saved its memory. We learned that hope can travel farther than any ship, and that kindness can live even after worlds are gone." After the ceremony, the team carefully collected the new seeds from the plant. They placed each seed in a small box with a note that read, "Plant this where hope is needed." They sent the boxes to faraway stations, ships, and planets. Soon, people from every corner of the galaxy wrote back, sharing pictures of new little plants growing in their own gardens. As more people heard the story of Earth, they started new traditions. On the day of the first planting, every station and colony held a day of kindness. People helped each other, shared meals, and told stories of hope. The story of Earth became a lesson for everyone. It taught them not to forget the past, but to use it to build a better future. One night, when the station was quiet, Lyra walked alone in the garden. She looked at the earth plant, now tall and full of flowers. She felt proud and grateful. She knew she would never see Earth, but she felt close to it through the plant and the stories. She knew the message of the last humans would never be lost. Ven joined her in the garden. He looked up at the stars, bright outside the glass windows. "We have done something good," he said. Lyra nodded. "We listened, we remembered, and we shared." Ven smiled. "Do you think someone will find our story one day, far in the future?" Lyra thought for a moment. "Maybe. Stories travel far and hope lasts even longer. As long as someone cares, the story will live." They stood together in the garden, watching the leaves move gently in the air. They felt the peace that comes from kindness and the strength that comes from hope. The garden, born from a single message and a simple seed, was now a living symbol for the whole galaxy. It reminded everyone that no world, no person, and no dream was ever truly lost if it was remembered with love. The stars shone brighter that night, as if lighting the way for more stories, more hope, and more kindness in the days to come. And, in the middle of it all, the plant from Earth grew strong and beautiful, a promise kept and a dream that would never fade.